Some things you never forget. I was the apple of my 23-year-old father's eye, and already the bane of my 15-year-old mom. I loved running barefoot in the house, in the yard, in the driveway, and in the street. And on the day in question, I was nowhere to be found. What happened nearly got my parents jailed for attempted murder. Hi, my name is Juanita Karnes, and back when I was born, it was legal for young women of tender age who had begun to flower, as it was said in those days, to wed, if their parents were agreeable. And in the late 40s, yes, my parents, her parents, were very agreeable. And my mom's parents definitely were. She had had her heart set on my father for many years. The moment his tour of duty in Germany ended, she convinced him not to re-enlist. Instead, they got married when she was still 13, and I was born just before she turned 14. When this incident happened, I was about to turn 3, I believe, but I was literally 2 still. My mom had dropped out of school in the 9th grade, to be specific, just to marry my dad. She had got to be a stay-at-home wife, which she soon learned was not an ideal situation for her. In those days, wives could accompany their husbands on the base or into any bar, no matter what their ages were, as long as they were legally married. And my mother soon developed a taste for alcohol, cigarettes, and the attention of men, and forgot all about her Christian upbringing. My father's family, also a highly Christian family, owned a mechanic shop, one that repaired all types of vehicles, cars, trucks, and motorcycles. That morning, Mom had made me some pancakes and played patty cake with me while each one cooked. My father got 3, my mom got 2, and I got 1 or 2 or 3, depending on how hungry I was. Afterward, because Mom needed to pack my dad's lunch so he could take it to work, she sat me on the back porch, tied with her apron strings to the back doorknob, although there was no fence to contain me. And like any normal 2-year-old, I was quite interested in exploring my world, barefooted and happy. I remember chasing a golden butterfly, petting the neighbor's cute little brown lop-eared puppy as he was changed right to a fence that was only a few feet from our back door. Then I decided to go inspecting the mailbox and look at dandelions and blow those around, and then I stood by the street, by the mailbox, by that half-rotted 4x4 post that was holding it up. And all of a sudden a big wind came along. Oh my goodness, the sky got really dark. Suddenly I saw a kitty cat run under and around my father's old Ford. So I headed over there. I loved kitty cats. Just as I got close enough to its tail, I decided that I should go grab it. And it pulled me down into the mud, but I didn't cry. I just laughed and laughed because of that cat pulling me down. Well, as I sat there in the mud, I started splashing in the water because it was fun. And that's when I saw it. It was round and shiny, and I just had to have it. So I rolled over onto my hands and knees and proceeded to crawl to the center of the back of the fort. And when I reached my treasure, I let out a squeal of delight. It was a marble, a bluish marble that seemed to glow. Now, I'll tell you, mind you, that with my squeal from the cat pulling me down and my excitement over the marble, one would have thought that parents would have come running at any point, but no. The wind was so loud and howling you couldn't hear anything. Barely heard the cats and dogs. However, at that time my mom had decided to take the washing out of the wringer into the backyard and hang it up on the clothesline. And Dad had picked up his brown bag lunch and jumped into the Ford and started the engine and began to back out of the driveway. If I have captured your attention to this point and you would like to learn what happened next, please leave a comment down below and tell me of a time that something happened to you that was very scary. Share it with us all. You can pause the video right here, and I'll be here when you come back. But I'm going to continue from here on. And it was just at that moment that the neighbor's dog saw the cat, and they started having a conversation, him barking and her hissing, and at least I thought it was a boy dog and a girl cat, and all the other dogs and animals in the neighborhood all started howling and barking, and the wind got louder and louder. Rocks and weeds and thistles and all kinds of stuff and were blowing and blowing around. It was just a crazy moment. The sky kept getting darker and darker. Lightning shot off. Thunder. Oh my goodness, it was so terrible. I started to cry. I was so scared. And it was with this noise that caused my mother to turn around in the backyard and quit hanging up those clothes when she suddenly realized in fear that I was not where she had left me. And as she rounded the corner of the house, she could see the Ford clearly and that Dad was sitting in the driver's seat. She could hear the engine barely running over the noises of the dogs and the wind. She couldn't see me. She could see the street, but not me. She could see the front yard, but not me. Each step she came closer to the front yard, she could not see me. And she was letting out blood-curdling screams that weren't even making it over the sound of the noise of the wind and the dogs and the engine of the car. At that moment, she was standing right beside my dad's door of the car, started pounding on the door, trying to get his attention to stop, but he couldn't hear it because of the rumbling inside the car. Unbeknownst to my parents, the neighbor with the cute puppy was in his house, calling the police, telling them of the disturbance that my parents were causing, that he was sick and tired of hearing my mother screaming about her little brat and how she didn't want a child, hearing my father scream because she was always running around getting drunk when she should have been staying home with the child. They were having another one of their lovely afternoons, and she just couldn't take it. Yeah, he only had to go in for a half day this Saturday, but it was a half day that they were going to be able to have more money than that's all she complained about. So he was going to work to make her some more money. She was never happy. And he told the cops everything he knew, and then went back outside into the yard so that he could see what was going on, to be a witness in case one of them started throwing blows. Well, my mom started screaming my name, waving her hands all up in the air and spinning all around in circles. My father just started laughing and laughing when he saw her acting that way, because he couldn't hear a thing she was saying because the car engine was so loud and the dogs were barking and the wind was blowing. Well, deciding that he's had about enough out of her today, he decided he should probably just get going on his way to work because he was running a little bit late. And his brothers and his dad were there waiting for him to help tear down one of the motorcycle engines. He put it into gear and started to back up slowly. I was oblivious to all of the things that my parents were doing. I was in my own little world, no longer afraid of the wind or the dogs or the stuff that was flying around. With marble in hand, I tossed it in the muddy water. Then I rolled over onto all fours and started to crawl toward the car. I bumped my head on the rear bumper, which made me fall face smack down into the muddy water. And my father continued to back up the car and rode right up to my brain, my head. It went down into the soft mud. Not knowing he had run over me, he put the car in forward because he could tell he had hit something, and he pulled back up the driveway. That is when the neighbors started screaming that was he trying to kill the baby on purpose? My dad jumped out of the car and he saw the neighbor screaming at something and saw my mom screaming something, ran around to the back and picked me up and started screaming at my mom, not at me, at my mom, and told the neighbor just to shut up and go away. My dad was mad because Mom was not watching me better and taking care of me. Little did he know how often she tied me up in the backyard and how often I got away. The back of my skull had a major dent in it. Well, I would say it was at least a half an inch deep back then. And I still have that identical dent in my head at 76 years old. The neighbor came running toward us and told us not to leave the area, that the cops were on their way. And when my dad heard that, he just gave my mother a look. The neighbor had seen everything, had heard everything. And just at that moment, the cops pulled up. 3 cars, 2 cops in each, jumped out of the cars, guns aimed at my parents. Well, unfortunately, that's the end of the story. At least the dramatic part, because I have no idea what happened next as far as this part goes. I do know that they kissed and made up and they stayed together until I was 5, and by that time I had a little sister. And in those days, mothers always won custody and alimony and military rights for her and the girls because she had no education. She managed to be able to go off and have all the boyfriends she wanted, and I can attest to that. You see, we never know whether that bump on my head made me as smart as I am, or maybe I could have been a lot more smart. We'll never know. So if something has happened to you in your life that you don't remember completely, or that it seems a little foggy, but you have stress over it every time you think about it, give us a comment down below. Maybe we can help expand it. Maybe we could write a story for you and share yours on our channel. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give us a like, subscribe to our stories from all the different women that are already donated so much, and maybe we'll have yours here. We leave you with this. Psalms 127:3 states, "Children are indeed a heritage from the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is His reward." And we hope you have a blessed day.